In order to understand the deep message of this week's Parsha, we're going to have to take a step back and see all of Sefer Bamidbar in its entirety. Sefer Bamidbar really can be broken up into three different parts. The first two parts of Sefer Bamidbar focus on the generation that left Mitzrayim, the generation that received the Torah and started to plan their entrance into the land. The first part of Sefer Bamidbar focuses on the preparation that's needed in order to enter the land, the way they encamped, how they stood, the way that they would walk, how they would walk, and when they would walk. The second part of Sefer Bamidbar focuses on the downfall of that generation. They're already about to enter the land, and then everything goes downhill. They start complaining, they start going to Moshe and saying it's better that we would have been back in Mitzrayim, and then there's the sin of the Miraglim and the sin of Korach, and that's when we enter into the third part of Sefer Bamidbar, which is starting by this week's Parsha. That part is the generation 38 years later that is going to enter into the land. It's no longer the same people. These are the prized people that are going to enter into the land of Israel. Now, what you would expect when you see such a structure is that the people that are going to enter into the land 38 years later, the second generation after the redemption from Mitzrayim, they're going to be different. It's going to be different this time. Those mistakes that were done in the first half of Sefer Bamidbar are going to stay there, and we're going to have learned from our predecessors, and we're going to take those messages and enter into the land of Israel. However, if you take a look at this week's Parsha, it doesn't seem to be that this generation has really gotten it better. All of a sudden, they start complaining again. They start complaining about the water. They start complaining about the food. And they say to Moshe, listen, how dare you give us this man? Why is it that you gave us this lechem al kilkol, this lechem, this bread that makes us feel sick? Why don't we go back to Mitzrayim? It seems to be that they're saying the exact same complaints that were said in their previous generation, in the generation that failed in their attempt to enter the land. However, this generation succeeds. Why is it? What's the difference between them? That next pasuk is actually the reason why this generation was the successful one and what differentiated them from the generation before them. Once Moshe Rabbeinu comes and tells them what they did wrong and the plagues start, they turn towards Moshe and they say the most important words, Chatanu, we have sinned. Right away they realize and they take responsibility for their actions. I think the message that Sefer Bamidbar is giving us with this new generation, where they make even the same mistakes as the generation before them, however, the thing that makes them different is that they take responsibility for those mistakes. It's not about being perfect. Sefer Bamidbar teaches us that Torah is not about being the perfect person. It's not about never having failures, but it's about how you deal with those failures. How you look those failures in the eye and you say, those are my mistakes, and I'm going to admit to them, and I'm going to grow from them. That's the difference between the nation when they left Mitzrayim and the generation that the nation is in this week's Parsha about to enter the land. They're not a perfect generation, but they're a generation that's able to take responsibility for themselves and take responsibility for their actions, and thereby be able to be the responsible nation that's ready to build a society in the land of Israel to represent God in this world. Shabbat Shalom.